Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. On this episode, we welcome Marisa from Teddies vs. Monsters. It's a great new board game that her and her business partner Javier created that looks like a whole lot of fun. It's available next year. They just had their Kickstarter, and yeah, it looks like an amazing game, and it was an amazing chat. They tell us our journey of why they wanted to create this game and how they got the ideas for it. So yeah, check it out. Marisa, how's it going today?
Good, very good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on today. Evan Chan.
Yes.
He's the one that got us in contact with one another. Amazing dude.
He's amazing.
We partner with the game nights that he throws on, the board games and tea nights. And I know you guys were recently there with your game. So
yeah.
Teddies versus Monsters. Tell us about that. Tell us how you came up with this idea and how long of a journey it's been.
So my business partner and I, Javier, we have tried to make a board game since like 4 years now. And this idea came a year and a half ago, more or less. I used to have it's not a version of a teddy bear. It's not a teddy bear, but it was like Big Bird from Sesame Street. Teddy or plushie toy, and I used to have it like all the time. I was like so afraid of the dark. And Javier has these crazy dreams. So when we used to live together, he came downstairs and he's like, "Hey, I have this idea of something like a game or something, a story." And he told me about like he was dreaming about being in the night and something is attacking and these little guys were defending him. And I was like, oh, like that reminded me of that plushie that I had. So it was like, yeah, like teddy bears always fighting monsters, like they're protecting the kids. So after that, we started like all the mechanics were running through my head. And at that time, we were doing another board game. Like it was really complicated and really complex and a lot of components. And we're like, no, let's just focus on this and try to make something simple and something that everybody can enjoy. And that was the point of making board games, like making people come into the table and just have a blast. And that's what we try to create, something fun, something fast, and really easy to learn.
That's amazing. How did you get involved in the board game industry?
I think I've played board games all my life. And the thing that I most remember of growing up is these times where my mom, my sister, and I will play cards. Like there was some nights that it was like a school night and we were like playing until 12 because we were so into it. So those memories are the most fun for me because it makes it you bring all their family together and there's a lot of laugh and there's a lot of like communication that sometimes throughout your life or throughout the days it gets lost. And so I always played, but now that I'm like into more board game modern games, like I got introduced to Catan and Pandemic like everybody else, and I fell in love with it and started collecting them. And then I brought Javier into it because we were living in the same, we were roommates, and I had a lot of board games and I forced every roommate to come and play. So he started loving it, and then we tried to make our own. Like he had a lot of bunch of crazy ideas for themes, and we're like, yeah, like I have played a lot, so I know the mechanics. So we were just tossing and we're like, yeah, let's try to do one.
That's amazing. Like, how did you guys go from thinking of it to actually creating a board game? Because obviously there's a lot of it's elaborate work that goes into this. Manufacturing another, if you haven't done it before, how was that? Like really, how did you go from thoughts and just ideas to actually making it happen?
It's funny because you come with so much like great ideas and then you realize that somebody already did it and you're like, damn it. And you had to start over, and then we had to pass like for 3 games. And then this one we couldn't find, we found one that is close to the same idea of plushies protecting, but not the story that we were coming up in our head. So we're like, this is perfect. This is a great theme. I think it's really attracts a lot of people. And the reason that we wanted to be that fast and that chaotic is that we have this one friend that has amazing reactions when he gets frustrated when he's playing board games. And we wanted to make him do that. So the moment that we were playtesting and he made that reaction, we saw each other and like, we did it. This is the game. That this is the game. So after that, it was just like pouring our hearts out, trying to find illustrators. At the end, it was so complicated to find illustrators, and we didn't have a lot of money. So I ended up doing all the art. I am an animator, so I have a little bit of background of illustrations, but I wasn't very sure about if I was going to pull it off. But at the end, I started doing it, and I was like, okay, this is going great. So I ended up doing all the art, and we've been a year just promoting it, like doing events and doing content media. And we recently finished our Kickstarter. Nice. And we funded 110%. So we're super excited about that.
That's awesome.
So now it starts that journey of manufacturing. Talk to the manufacturer. We already have one, but it's a journey.
Yeah. It's I like recently was watching a Joe Rogan's podcast with Elon Musk, and Elon just went into detail about how like creating something is one thing, creating the first model of it is another thing, but then manufacturing it on a huge level is the biggest difficulty that any. And they don't really talk about it. Like he said, there's never been movies made about that. Like you never hear about the actual work that goes into making multiple units of it. So that's what my interest, like from a business standpoint. I'm just going from I know our business here. We saw basically a rundown office space when we came in originally to look at it, and saw our vision of what it could be, built it ourselves. Like you said, you kind of just, in the beginning, you didn't have much money. So it's like you learn, you kind of take on the jobs yourself, and you realize there's so much work involved, but I'm going to have to do it if I want it done a certain way. Now it's like you finally get to that Kickstarter point. You guys you're moving to that next level. This is the next challenge.
I bet. Like it's insane. It's insane how much things that you have to think about. Like when we were starting, like, oh, we have to have a mailing list, and we have to do this, and have a presence in conventions, and doing a content creation, and it's just like you have to think about every single aspect that normally when you're in a business that is not your own, you're like, oh, I in charge of marketing. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but here you had to do every single thing, like just trying to film shots for the Kickstarter and the Instagram. We decorated a whole living room. It was just a lot of things, and bringing people into it, and our friends are just at least we have a game that they enjoy, because our friends have play tested this thing like 1,000 times, 1,000 times. So I don't know. It's getting the journey. The manufacturer is gonna be challenging, because we're manufacturing with someone in China, and sometimes the communication is complicated. But yeah, we actually decided to distribute it ourselves. We were going to go with a distributor, but it's just insane how much, like, you don't quantify how much money you have to do this.
Yeah.
And so we decided to distribute it ourselves, and we have a lot of things to figure it out, like if we send it to ourselves or we send it to the US, and where to send it, where to store it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that are coming our way.
It's a really good crash course as a business owner, Jesus. Though. Everybody like like you said, you work for somebody, you kind of have your department you take care of, but you got to think like to yourself, if you're an entrepreneur starting out, or you're starting out a business and you're doing everything yourself with your partners or whatever. Every company that has those employees with their department started out with this, right? Like it's a lot of grind in the beginning, and if you don't have the deep pockets, you end up doing so much yourself. But it really, in return, what it does is gives you the biggest crash course you can get in how to do this, whether you succeed or fail. Like it's like a training course, and so it's good that you're learning all this stuff. And it seems like you guys have good ideas for multiple games and stuff, and this is their first big big one. So from now on, this is going to be the hardest step, is getting that manufacturing. But once you get that down, you can go on to the next one and the next one. It's just gonna you're gonna have people interested in coming along the journey with you. So
Yeah.
I saw what you guys were doing. I went to the game night at Halloween.
Oh, really?
My wife and our son went dressed up as the Harry Potter clan.
Oh, I
Um,
saw you guys.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We didn't get a chance to play the game. Son was getting tired pretty early, so we left. But we saw the reception. It seemed like people were really into this game. Has that been like pretty much anywhere you've taken it? Has been great reception?
Yeah, actually, we found out really late that our game doesn't do well in ads
Yeah,
because there's only cards to it. They're not like magical components that you have in all these amazing Kickstarters that everybody has. But every time we go to an in-person event, people had a blast.
mm,
Like, there's a lot of people that come to our booth. When we went to Origins, a convention in the US, people will come and say like, "Oh, I'm a fan of fast-paced games." And it's like, I'll try it," and they will end up like playing for an hour. And
mm,
it's like, this is like I really enjoyed it. So a lot of people doesn't think that they will find like enjoyment in this game, but when they start playing, they're like, "Oh, this is great," because the experience and the it's a competitive game and it's everybody's playing at the same time, so it's really chaotic. And if you're playing against your friends, you're like, "Oh," so like all the emotions comes up, and it's more about the experience that you have with this game. So actually, at the beginning, before our Kickstarter, we throw out like an ads campaign and marketing, blah blah blah, and we spent a lot of money on that, and we were like, this is not paying off. What it pays off is in-person events.
yeah,
And we realized that really late before, after we
just
spent a
learning.
lot of money, but that's how you learn.
Yeah,
And now we're like focusing on this year on just doing in-person events and trying to make as more people play as possible.
yeah. And it's learning those challenges that like for next time it definitely teaches you what you should put your effort into and
Yeah.
everything. But it's never a regret. It's always like you try everything you can to make something succeed. Some things work better than others for different things, right?
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's just how it is. And by like, I just see that you're doing this out of passion, and that's always going to lead to success, right? And just seeing how like extremely professional everything looks, and just yeah, it's I've definitely seen the like a verse like these games that are like verse. Even like apps and stuff like these
Mhm.
different kinds of characters versus one another, but this kind of it really stands out in the behind the story behind it more so of like children with their teddy bears as protectors
Yeah,
to monsters. That's a lot of brilliance that goes into the actual
thank you.
background story to it. It isn't just a card game. It actually has meaning, right?
Yeah, we actually have a completely background story. So we're trying to make a whole universe into the story that we're creating. And eventually we want to make at least another two games of the same theme, but just different mechanics, and the story is gonna progress. And also like there's a lot of people that want to do like an RPG. So we're trying to make work on that. But yeah, the story it's just we're trying to come up with down the story to everybody can enjoy it, but at the same time it's hard to determine if we want to go into more kids like or more creepy like,
Yeah.
because that was the whole point of the art and everything. It was like cute but dark but creepy, so we can go either way. So now we cannot decide if we want to
I mean,
appeal more for
have you?
families.
I have a 5-year-old son, and I don't know if you've seen what they're watching now. And it's that's what's in is this weird, creepy, like I don't know, Huggy Wuggy. I don't know if you heard of Huggy Wuggy before.
No.
You look into it. The Rainbow Friends. Poppy's Playtime is what the Huggy Wuggy's from, and these really creepy characters with these like almost like these childlike stories, but they're extremely creepy, and it's just something that they're into. And I have a feeling it has to do like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at
That had
Freddy's.
like a huge impact on just like
I
kids and apps and YouTube in general. Like
Yeah.
YouTube, there's multi-million dollar content creators that just basically play these games, play
Yeah.
and so I think even the last few years, board games have picked up in popularity like crazy. I don't know if the pandemic had anything to do with it or
I
what.
think the pandemic had a lot of to do
Yeah.
with it. And obviously, when the pandemic hit, there was a lot of platforms like Board Game Arena and Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator that it was like really popular because people were losing their minds in their house, and it was a way to connect to other people.
Yeah.
Right? Making a commitment. It's like, okay, let's connect everybody at 7, and you can talk to each other and enjoy a game.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the same as being in the table with everybody, I feel that it was like a way of connecting a lot of people, and that's how a lot of people got to know modern board games now.
Yeah. Have you guys like either talked to people or kind of just thought about the idea of turning this into an app in any way?
We are.
Yeah.
We actually had a meeting with a video game company.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it an app. We have to. We don't know if like exactly the same game or just using the components of the game and creating a new game, but it's in the midst of
'Cause
whatever.
I know those are huge now. Like
Yes.
just the mobile games themed off of already made board games or just like just kind of like games to
Yeah.
some board games and that's a huge industry.
It is.
I know we have some programmers that work in house that work on games that a lot of them being card games. Card games, I feel like have been big since I was a kid with like just
Yes.
old school Mac computers with solitaire. Like people have always been playing card games on computers. I
It's
don't
so
know.
insane to think that a card game, like playing cards, have so many different games.
Yes.
And you can buy a playing card for $10 and have a blast.
Yeah.
So that's for me is crazy. Just to create like I don't even know who created the playing cards.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so old. It's
Yeah.
so back on, but
What
it's
was the
still
first
really-
card game? Like
What was the first card game? What
Yeah.
was the first playing cards someone created?
Yeah.
Probably it's like something like Kings or something. I don't know.
Even board games would be very interesting to go into the history of board games and just see
Yeah.
who was the first person to like create this almost like fun activity to do with friends and family and create this game out of literally like probably a piece of cardboard back in the day. That'd be a very interesting probably something to study.
Yeah, and it's funny because even when you're trying to create a board game, you're trying to do a prototype.
Yeah.
So you're basically starting almost the same as back then. Like
Yeah.
you're starting with a piece of paper and cardboard. We printed out like random art from like the internet and just print it out and put it in cardstocks and you know like in the sleeves and
Yeah.
you know it's trying to play it with random things. So making a prototype is just like coming into base, like just basics. Like what can you do with pens and paper and some cardboard and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really fun.
It's amazing how so many different industries like kind of are the same in that way. It all starts from something pretty basic, but
Pretty basic.
it can turn into something absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Well, like what was your favorite game you ever played growing up? Like card game, board game, whatever.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
I was such a sore loser when I was a kid. Like such a sore loser. So I loved Monopoly because it was like I will beat everybody.
Yeah.
But now you think about it and you're like, yeah, Monopoly is not that great.
The more I age, the more Monopoly isn't that great because I don't my back will
It's
seize
so
up
true.
after the first few hours, and I'm just like I can't sit here getting in arguments with the people I'm
Yeah.
playing at for another few hours today. I can't.
But I remember playing Monopoly until like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
with my friends and having a bank. And it's like, you owe $7,000
Yeah,
to
yeah.
someone else. It was just insane. It was like, I don't understand how like, that was fun.
Yeah.
But anywho, I had like a bunch. I think growing up, I really liked this game. I don't know the name in English,
Yeah.
though. I've seen it. And it was like a trap thing.
Mousetrap.
No, it was like hereditary. No, I don't know. I don't know what the name is.
Yeah.
It's just different. In Spanish is La herencia de la tía Agata. So the aunt's money, like when she died, she passed away. She was like leaving the money to someone, and you had to be the one that keeps the money, but you have to kill everybody else.
Oh, okay.
So there was like a traps, and they were like, oh, you put it in the fireplace, and
That
they
sounds like 13 Dead End Drive.
yes,
Yeah, that's
that's
what
the
that is.
name.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is just so different than the name. I saw it and I was like,
We actually
what is
played
this?
that game at that night.
Yeah, yeah.
I got my kid won it in like record fashion. It was like literally his first turn. He won the game, but it was perfect because he was getting cranky and wanted to go. So, but it's just a fun time.
Yes.
I think people like kind of for I think what COVID did is brought the forgotten love of games to
Yes.
people because I mean video games have taken over the world. People are so attached to their screens that the going back to the older I'll go say old school gaming. I think it's become more popular because of just people wanting to actually not put a headset on. They want to
Yeah.
actually have that like communication with other people and have that fun, almost like turn off the media mode and just concentrate on this and have fun with your friends for a few
Yeah. The
hours.
other day I was working like I don't know how many hours, and I just didn't want to see a screen. Not the TV, not my phone, not the computer, everything. And just like grab a playing cards and just play solitary.
Yeah,
Like just old school play solitary. And it was a blast. Like I don't know, it was a refresher of my
yeah,
eyes.
yeah,
Not to try to see a screen all the time.
yeah.
But yeah, playing by myself, I think playing cards for me is like the go-to, is the easiest
It's a
thing.
little, it can be meditative for people too.
Yeah.
I find like the last few years have been super challenging for a lot of people. Being able to take your mind off of it
Yeah.
by doing something. I feel like people try to use like they go on their phones or like go on the computers, and it doesn't. It just puts you deeper into that. Like it doesn't get you away from the stresses of the world. It actually, I think, brings it up to a higher level.
Yeah.
So being able to shut off if you have bad thoughts or just you're having a stressful time, this is a way to like get relief in like mental like a mental state way. It will
Yeah.
definitely make you concentrate and just have fun. And also, it's funny to see people's competitive nature come out.
Just yes.
It's the only place where I find like my wife will allow me to swear at her, or like even like me and I play my mother-in-law on a board game. It is the most competitive night we can have, but it's funny. It's enjoyable with everybody,
Yeah,
right?
I actually made made a big mistake of showing my mom to play sequence,
Yeah,
and then oh my God, that now it's like a religious thing in my family.
yeah,
Like you go and all my aunts and uncles are playing sequence,
yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this is intense, guys.
yeah,
Like, but everybody's enjoying. Everybody's like rotating and doing like, oh, now you two, and now team up and blah blah blah, and they keep saying stuff, and I don't know, it's competitive, but not that quite.
yeah,
But it's fun to see people enjoying board games now
yeah.
that I'm into it, and like bringing board games home and showing them new things, and I play with them code names, and I try to make them play Camel Up, and my father-in-law and my mother-in-law was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? I'm like, yeah, there's camels, they're racing, and you're like, what? What are
Yeah,
you talking about? So yeah, they normally don't play, they play dominoes. That's the thing,
yeah,
and it's so fun to introduce them to new things, and they're willing to learn,
yeah,
and they have a blast. Like they're laughing and they're like, oh, this is a cool idea. Like how people come up with this. It's
yeah,
like I have no idea.
yeah, yeah. I know you brought it up earlier, because and it sounded like it's somewhat of a challenge that figuring out who to go for, an adult crowd or children or both.
Yeah.
Is this for both this game?
So yeah, it's for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
Actually, we didn't thought that it was going to be such a hit with kids,
yeah.
and it's insane. Every convention, we have one kid that stays the whole time in the booth.
Nice.
Like comes there in the convention that we did here in the Terminal City, there was this girl that she brought everyone, like all her family, all her friends, all her cousins, like you have to try this. And I'm like, okay. So every time we play with kids, they have a blast, and they get like a little bit obsessed, and they start drawing their teddies and how they imagine will their teddy be. So that's pretty cool to send. Like they have sent us pictures of drawings that they have done, and it's like, oh, it's so warm and so cool think that a kid just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it's for everybody. We try to make something that you don't have to read anything. So even if you're playing with someone that doesn't speak your same language, you can still play.
Nice.
So it's only symbols, so you don't have to read anything. There's nothing with languages, and also it's colorblind friendly. So we try to like
Take
get
care of.
almost everybody. Like you try to do a must that you can do. Because actually a guy come to us in Terminal City and told us about he was colorblind, and he couldn't like see the colors and stuff like that. So he gave us some ideas of how to make it colorblind. So yeah, it's pretty fun to try to include everybody and everybody.
It's a challenge, but it's once you solve it, it's probably very rewarding and stuff because you want to make it accessible and playable for everyone, right?
Yeah, and more here that there's people for everywhere.
Yeah.
And we have a group like with everything like Japanese and Brazilian and like a lot of nationalities,
Yeah.
and everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. I even like with kids, like my kid's 5, so trying to get them to even play video games and stuff that have any like reading involved. And in some ways, it's great because it kind of teaches people. I don't think people. I think they underestimate games in general when it comes to teaching kids like reading and just like mostly just reading. I know, like for me as a kid, playing a video game and it I probably learned more from that than school in some ways.
You take your time reading the okay,
yeah. So I find that the more basic and the more universal it can be, obviously is going to be the best for you guys. It's and the fact that you took care of that and made it basic. So
yeah.
It's not going to separate anybody. It's going to bring people together no matter what, and until they beat each other.
Yeah. Actually, for our Kickstarter, we tried to do a little expansion for newer cards centered that has less symbols. So if you want to introduce it to a 5-year-old, and we put 7 because it's when they can hold their hand.
Yeah.
But we have put rules like they don't need the hands in there. They can put it in the table and stuff like that. So we did wanted to include, and there was a friend of mine that his sister has some movement problems, and she was like I could gift this to my sister and she will enjoy it a lot because even though it's gonna be a challenge for her, she can do it. Like it helps her motivate to move and move around and practice and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
It's always good when you hear those kinds of stories. The benefits that you don't even think when you were creating this is like, we just want to create a good game, people have fun, but then there's more backstory to it, like how fun, why it's fun for those people, how you've made it enjoyable for them for any reason you wouldn't even think of in the beginning until now, and you can go in a certain direction because it's been appealing to your customer base. I know that like games like Pokemon and stuff, the card games, they have like children ones. They have ones that are like kind of basic versions of them just to teach kids how to play it because they don't have much patience, and the people trying to teach them lose the patience pretty quick too. So it's very nice to have like that basic guideline, or if just the game is basic in general in the beginning, like the less rules the better, if that makes sense. That's how I would look at it.
It's so funny because when people start playing, we teach them all the rules, and the rules are few of them. Like there's like 5 rules more or less, and people are like okay, and then halfway through they're like, oh right, I can do this, and they start relearning the rules as they go. So they haven't affected their playability of the game. They're just learning how to make it better. And how to like, oh, I can do this and I can do that and I can do that. So it's funny it's really heartwarming to see the people learning as they go, and they're like getting better and better and better and better. And it's like, oh, it's just a simple card game. It's just not much to it, but when you see it live and seeing the enjoyment of the people, it's really cool.
I love rewarding stories like that. I want people to know more about your game and also get in touch to get your game? Where is it available? How do they get in contact with you? What are your socials?
So the game, as I mentioned, the Kickstarter ended 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
A week ago. So we're gonna have a pre-order soon. We're trying to figure out where to put that because you have to figure out a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we will have a pre-order, and we want to do like a lot of events throughout this month to have pre-orders for the game. But the game will be available until we finish manufacturing.
Yeah.
That it will be around May.
Oh, nice. No, it's not too far. Time goes by really fast.
It goes really fast.
Yeah. What are your socials that people can get contact with?
So our Instagram is Teddies versus Monsters, and we have TikTok, and I have my TikTok for our company, and we have the company TikTok, and Javier's TikTok. So we have a bunch of social medias. I think those, and we have Facebook also, but we post some things.
Yeah. Well, where do you get the best response?
I think Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram is awesome.
Yeah.
We have like almost 3,000 followers.
Nice. Yeah, it's Instagram, anything to do with the arts, games, fun. If I find the marketing is the best there.
Yeah.
I think you guys can do so much with your concept. Like definitely you said you're an animator, so you can do some cool stuff with these characters, especially. Like I look at this and I see like money. That's just me.
I know.
And you guys, if kids get it, like I have a kid, like I said, who's obsessed with the weird dark, like Five Nights at Freddy's plushies and stuff, and like they have endless supply of different versions of each character.
Yeah.
And those companies that started that, they're just like ideas like yours that different people come into play and like do this with it, do this, because it's. I just see the marketing end of this could be huge for you. And I am looking forward to see where this goes, because I can see there's passion here. I can see that you put a lot of effort and time, and just it looks fun. I would like to try playing it sometime, because it looks like a fun time, and it looks like I'd have a fun time with my kid as well. So
I think your kid will love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I love talking about this. If you have another game in the future too that you want to promote, or a different version of this, we'd love to have you on again, because I love talking to you guys. Bring your business partner next time. Yes, it's just saying that he couldn't come. It's all good. I'm so happy that you were able to share your story. If there's anything else you want to add to it. No, thank you so much for having us, and thank you for letting us show our game. No problem. Thank you for bringing it. I'm definitely looking forward to the future for you guys. Thank you. Yeah, I can see that it's going to be definitely. Let's hope. Let's hope. I mean, I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and I love when people take something that's just up here and they actually do it, because there's so many ideas everybody in the world has. It's the first project that I finished from idea to finish. Yeah. It's the only thing that I've done. Like, it's insane. It's rewarding. It's rewarding. Rewarding. It's rewarding. And you just see how as soon as you're done, I'm a perfectionist. You think you got it done. You'll never be completely done your baby. If this baby is your baby, there's going to be endless things that you'll want to add. Changing parts of the art. And especially if you have the background in like animation and stuff. I do a lot of graphic art. I do a lot of that. And it's just like as soon as you post it or do something on social media post, there's something you would have changed, and you're going to do it next time. So it's we'll see. We'll see how it ends up. It's getting better. It's getting better. Some things. Well, thank you so much, Marisa. It was a pleasure having you on. Thank you, Mike. And thank you guys for watching the show today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as well as like and comment this video and this podcast. Check it out. Check out this board game. Check out Teddies versus Monsters, because it seems like a heck of a good time. And next year, you said May it should be out, so keep an eye out and follow them on socials, because you'll definitely want to know when this product is available to you. But thank you for joining us on PoCommunity. Have a good one.